if you would.
I don't know, is it anybody's case before us?
I'm going to come to that.
No, you don't know what I'm going to ask. Is it anyone's case before us that the seats should remain vacant? I've not heard that from that side.
No,
This side is saying they should come to me. The other political parties is saying that they should come to them, but it's nobody's case.
Yes.
Why are we exploring something which nobody is pleading?
Yes, and Mr. Siddiqui,
Because
if I recall,
the general principle of
position
cases
on this.
before the Supreme Court is you should only adjudicate on matters which come before the Supreme Court. So why are we going into, why are you spending so much time on the seats can't be left vacant? Nobody wants the seats to be left vacant.
And I believe Mr. Siddiqui did take a position on this when a question was asked, and he said that they can't be left vacant, if I recall it correctly. So clearly,
No,
there was
Mr.
no
Siddiqui's
position
whole
taken on
case
that.
is they should come to the Sunita Council. It's
Yes.
as simple as that. Nothing complicated
This
about
is the
this
last
case.
part where I will address this.
अच्छा
What
दूसरी
can and
बात ये
cannot be
है कि
done.
अगर हम सिंपल प्रोपोर्शनल रिप्रेजेंटेशन होती तो एक तरीका कार तो बड़ा आसान था, जितने ये सारे क्लॉजेस की जरूरत ही नहीं थी, एक शिक होती 5% वोट मिले तो आपको वो इतने मिल जाएंगे ऑटोमेटिकली, आपको किसी को सोचने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, टक करके कर दें. तो ये पॉलिटिकल पार्टी ये वगैरह इसमें कोई लिखने की जरूरत नहीं थी, जिस पॉलिटिकल पार्टी को जितने सीट मिले बस उसको आप दे दें इलेक्शन में.
पॉपुलर वोट की बेसिस
नहीं, वो तो एक बहुत सिंपल सी बात लिख देते हैं आइन वाले. मैं बार बार इसीलिए आइन की जो तहरीर है वो क्यों उन्होंने किया, गलत किया, कैसे किया, क्यों नहीं उन्होंने सोचा कि ऐसा सिचुएशन डेवलप हो सकता था, ये वो जाने, हमारा काम नहीं है.
ये मैंने आखिर में ये आखिरी मेरा है. आई एम ऑन माय सेकंड लास्ट सबमिशन, बट द लास्ट सबमिशन इज प्रिसाइसली दिस. इफ आई मे नाउ proceed with my second last
थोड़ा सा
submission.
स्पीड
And
करें.
जी. My lords, now looking at the proviso to clause D or paragraph D,
जी देख लिया था हमने पहले भी.
there are two things. I have to reread it for the purpose of this submission.
अभी बार बार वही चीज पढ़ रहे हैं आप, क्या
मैं सिर्फ एक चीज यहाँ पे बस दिखाना चाहता हूँ कि the independent returned candidates or candidates who may duly join a political party, they add on to the tally. Now here the independent returned candidate is joining a political party. After joining this political party, he becomes a member of that political party. And when he becomes a member of that political party, on account of such membership, and after oath having been administered to him, he must necessarily become member of parliamentary party of that party. If I may take your lordships to clause 2 of Article 63A, I'll first read it out and then I'll make my submission. Clause 2 of Article 63A, sir. A member of a house shall be deemed to be a member of a parliamentary party if he, having been elected as a candidate or nominee of a political party which constitutes the parliamentary party in the house. Take a pause here, sir.
Sorry, I missed it.
Clause 2 of Article 63A, sir.
63A, अच्छा okay, I was reading 63A.
I'd reread it. A member of a house shall be deemed to be a member of a parliamentary party if he, having been elected as a candidate or nominee of a political party which constitutes the parliamentary party in the house. A pause here. So,
तो इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि पॉलिटिकल पार्टी पार्लियामेंट में नहीं होती, पॉलिटिकल पार्टी के जो नॉमिनेटेड कैंडिडेट्स होते हैं वो होते हैं और उनकी अपनी पार्लियामानी पार्टी होती है,
मैं इसको
पॉलिटिकल पार्टी से अलग होती है.
मैं उस पॉइंट पे नहीं, मैं यहाँ पे तो सिर्फ ये सबमिट कर रहा हूँ कि फॉर अ पॉलिटिकल पार्टी टू हैव अ पार्लियामेंट्री पार्टी इन द हाउस, इट्स कैंडिडेट्स और नॉमिनीज मस्ट हैव succeeded in the elections to constitute that parliamentary party. Now, if I may read the language after. Or, having been elected otherwise than as a candidate or nominee of a political party, now this is independent, has become a member of such parliamentary party after such elections. The effect of this is that an independent returned candidate who becomes a member can only join such parliamentary party of a political party whose at least one member, one candidate or nominee must have succeeded in the elections to constitute that parliamentary party.
It's after the constitution of the parliamentary party.
That is when he takes oath and becomes a member of the House.
But at that point in time, the joining of that independent with that political party is entirely irrelevant for purposes of.
मैं उसी पे ही बात रहा हूँ sir. Now when you're looking at
It's entirely irrelevant.
now my proceedings. Now let me proceed with my submissions here.
Prior to all of this.
I just now want to make a
इधर
submission.
ही सवाल आ जाता है ना, इसमें जरा क्लियर कर दें, because I couldn't find the provision. How does a party become a parliamentary party? Which provision governs that?
My lord, parliamentary party is not defined in the constitution. 63A is a provision which deals with parliamentary party, and clause 2 is the clause which explains what will be a parliamentary party, and that's about
I
it.
mean, in the rules of business of the parliament or whatever, I mean, how do we, what's the act? I mean, when does it become a parliamentary party? When they take oath?
No. It flows from here. So anyone who has returned as a candidate or nominee on a political party's ticket will become a member of parliamentary party of that party, or will constitute a parliamentary party of that
The minute
party.
he takes oath.
And when an independent wants to join a parliamentary party, he has to join such parliamentary party. In other words, independents cannot form a parliamentary
आप
party.
अगर
There can't be any independent
इसको
parliamentary
अगर दोबारा
bloc.
पढ़ लेना, दोबारा अगर इसको पढ़ लें, having been elected as a candidate or nominee of
जी.
political party, वो
Yes.
फिर हम उसमें चले जाएंगे 66 में सर्टिफिकेट पे,
Yes, मैं आपको ला रहा हूँ
affiliation
वापस.
सर्टिफिकेट वाला बंदा.
I'm taking you back there. मैं यहाँ पे सिर्फ ये पॉइंट आपको बता रहा था. एक पॉइंट वो ये कि पार्लियामेंट्री पार्टी तो होगी वो जो फर्स्ट पार्ट है. इंडिपेंडेंट ने इसी पार्लियामेंट्री पार्टी को ज्वाइन करना है जिसका कोई कैंडिडेट या नॉमिनी जीत के आया हो. नाउ वी गो बैक टू क्लॉज पैराग्राफ डी, प्रोवाइजो पैराग्राफ डी.
Sorry, here's something new for me. The political party automatically transforms into, if let's rephrase it, if there are some elected people of a political party in the National Assembly, they don't have to do anything, they automatically transform into a parliament party. Is this correct?
Yes.
So the political party inside the parliament is referred to as the
Parliamentary party of that political party, and the independents
Why the two distinctions?
Yeah,
why
why not?
can't we just stick with political party?
Yeah,
What was the reason for
for the
this?
purposes of 63A, sir, parliamentary party becomes relevant as opposed to political party because the decisions for the purposes of 63A under clause 1 are to be taken by the parliamentary party, the majority of parliamentary party or the parliamentary party.
एक क्वेश्चन पहले भी किया था शायद ने कि क्या विद इन 3 days जो इंडिपेंडेंट है वो अपनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी फॉर्म कर सकते हैं?
My lord, theoretically speaking, I am now talking about a political party, not parliamentary party.
Yes,
They
political
could,
party.
but that political party will not become a parliamentary party for the purpose of 63A because for the independent, they will remain independents for the purposes of 63A.
Same as your position about SIC.
What would be the effect?
I'm coming back.
The example that has just been given, what would be the effect on paragraph D?
Now, that's where the submission comes now. जी, अब मैं अब उस पे आ रहा हूँ सर.
Relating to different
उस पे आ रहा हूँ कि
things altogether.
जी. Now, if we look at paragraph, the proviso to paragraph D in isolation, to say that an independent returned candidate can join any political, the Constitution gels in with the scheme provided in the Constitution itself as also the law which is applicable in this case. Now, if I may kindly read out clause 4 of Article 224 very quickly. When, except by dissolution of the National Assembly or a provincial assembly, a seat in any such assembly has become vacant, not later than 120 days before the term of that assembly is due to expire, an election to fill the seat shall be held within 60 days from the occurrence of the vacancy. Now,
What's relevance?
my lord, my submission is that the Constitution does not envisage vacancy of any seat. A seat must always be filled, particularly in the present circumstances also where the seats are reserved for women and non-Muslims.
How does that work when a candidate of a reserved seat passes away or something?
Clause 6 kicks in.
पढ़ लें, सब
Clause 6 kicks in. I'll read that out also. But वो भी पढ़ देता हूँ फिर अभी. When a reserved seat for women or non-Muslims in the National Assembly or a provincial assembly falls vacant on account of death, resignation or disqualification of a member, it shall be filled by the next person in order of precedence from the party list of the candidates to be submitted to the Election Commission by the political party whose member has vacated such seat, provided that if at any time the party list is exhausted, the concerned political party may submit a name for any vacancy which may occur thereafter. Now back to clause 4. Now there is a 120-day window, which is 120 days before the expiry of the term. If a seat falls vacant, Constitution says don't hold elections. And one rationale is provided within this clause itself, which is when read with Election Act, there is a 54-day election program also. So the 66th day is an absolute cutoff. Because after the 66th day, if the seat falls vacant, the elections cannot possibly be held because the 54-day election program cannot be seen through. There is another rationale to it also. If you may kindly turn to Article 222. I'll read out clauses B, C and F, but the opening part of it also. Subject to the Constitution, Majlis-e-Shura, Parliament may by law provide for B, the delimitation of constituencies by the Election Commission, including delimitation of constituencies of local government. C, the preparation of electoral rolls, the requirements as to residence in a constituency, the determination of objections pertaining to and the commencement of electoral rolls, and F, all other matters necessary for due constitution of the two houses, the provincial assembly and local governments. Now, the Constitution requires Election Commission to carry out these activities for the purposes of conducting elections and due constitution of the two houses. If I may take you to Section 14 of the Election Act.
इसमें क्या बताना था?
इसमें मैं ये बता रहा हूँ कि Election Act का Section 14 आप देखेंगे तो 4 महीने के अंदर before the expiry of the term of the Assembly, the Election Commission is to complete the delimitation, prepare electoral rolls and so on and so forth, which is its duty under Clause F or 222 and the other provisions of the Constitution. So Section 14 अगर आप देखें Election Act का, so this timeline actually works with the timeline provided under clause 4 of article 224. जहाँ पे 120 days बताया था तो साथ इलेक्शन एक्ट में भी बताया कि 4 महीने एक्सपायरी टर्म की एक्सपायरी से पहले ये सारी एक्टिविटी और ये सारा काम करना है इलेक्शन कमीशन ने जो 222 में बताया हुआ है. So when you read them all of them in harmony, the constitutional command becomes very clear, which is that no seat can be left vacant but for what is provided under clause 4 of article 224. So Section 14, I can read out, but my lords may kindly note what I've submitted with regards to Section 14.
What do you say about Article 51(1) as my lord just Muni pointed out?
जी.
यहाँ पे जिक्र seats का है और membership का नहीं है ज़रा.
My lord,
51(1).
my lord would see that Article 51 deals with the stage where the elections are being conducted, elections, it deals with the elections, it deals with the seats which are to be filled. Now during the process, once the seats get filled, then they become members of the houses. So in the constitutional flow, a scheme of things, you start with 51 and then when you proceed, you are past 51 and the returned candidates are declared as such, they are administered oaths of the offices, they become members. So the interface is quite clear, sir, as far as my submission goes.
That perhaps you have reversed the sequence. I think the operative presumption of the Constitution is that in any house or provincial assembly, no seat, reserved or otherwise, will be left vacant. That is the basis on which the Constitution proceeds, to which, for example, Article 222(4) is an exception, that you must leave it vacant. Now, that presumption proceeds also on other presumptions. As my learned colleague Justice Masood Ali Shah pointed out, that the number of independents will be low. As you yourself said yesterday, that if there is a very, very large number of independents returned, there is something dysfunctional, something has gone out of kilter, right? You said that yesterday.
My precise words were that people have then rejected the political parties.
In the sense that we have a parliamentary democracy based on political parties. So once you accept that as the basis of the constitutional framework, insofar as we are presently concerned, then other things follow, then other clauses and provisions make sense. But here the very large number of independents, which you say is resulting in a vacancy of the reserved seats, and therefore the excess seats, as it were, go to the political parties and so on. It seems to me that that begs the question, where did that very large number of independents come from? Were they independents returned by the people, or were they independents, with all due respect to the Election Commission, created by the Election Commission on its faulty understanding of the Constitution, and in particular the judgment of the Supreme Court, which upheld their order? They said it meant this. It didn't say this. It didn't mean that at all. So you see, when we are in this realm, if this is the correct position, that this whole problem or issue is arising out of errors made by the Election Commission, then surely it is or is it not, the duty of the court, the Supreme Court, to the extent that it is able to do that, to correct that error, to rectify the problem, and if there are alternate pathways available, legally available, to choose the one that results in the error being rectified, and either for that problem, quote unquote, of reserved seats, the excess reserved seats, going to political parties who are not really entitled to that, because that tips the balance, that problem being disappeared because the reserved seats go to some political party to which is entitled, or maybe keeping the resultant vacancies to a minimum. I mean, it seems to me surely that is the correct way to interpret and apply the Constitution.
My lord,
rather than just saying, no, the seats cannot lie vacant. No, I am sorry, I don't, with all due respect, look at it that way. I think the Constitution assumes that the seats will not lie vacant, and therefore, in terms of 22.4, expressly creates a situation where the Constitution says, look, this is the working basis of the Constitution, but here the seat must lie vacant. Surely that's the better and more correct approach.
My lord, I had begun my submissions by yesterday by stating that these reserve seats under 51(6) are to bring in women in such large numbers to the assemblies. It is for their empowerment. And the tool is the political party, or the vehicle is or the engine is the political party, and then there is a system which is provided, and that system excludes independence. So this is the flow.
But you see,
now,
seems to me, just looking at jo aap abhi baat kar rahe hain, but then why have the system of proportional representation? Because it seems to me that when a general election especially takes place, and general seats are contested by political parties, the mandate of the people is returned on that basis. Now you tip the balance. If you just take it up proportionally, right, in terms of the reserved seats, a political party wins 30% seats, it gets, leaving aside the provisor for a moment, it gets 30% of the reserved seats, another one wins 1 seat, so it gets nothing, and so on and so forth. That does not upset the mandate of the people. But if the approach that you take, that no, this is for this purpose, and therefore the seats cannot be left open, that actually tips the electoral mandate.
what you have before you, my lord, and also when you look at 5160, and the way I look at it is that it requires exclusion of independents. I'm sure my lords would appreciate that, that independents have to be excluded and so on. Now, the only question or the observation which has come thus far is that such a large number of independents have returned. So what do we do about that situation? I'll come to that. But I've just shown you in 2008 there were about more than 20% in Balochistan returned independents. Now surely those 10 independents also had people's mandate.